Bobbi Brown is an internationally renowned businesswoman and makeup artist who began her career here in New York. And in those days, the blonde Scandinavian look was in vogue. But she didn't like what was offered to women who looked like her. So she created products for women of all shades. She started her company with a small collection of lipsticks. And now, with a career spanning over 3 decades, she's become synonymous with the clean, polished look loved by women from all over the world. Welcome to the BBC's 100 Women series. Now, growing up, you were inspired by your mother applying makeup. Has makeup always been an important part of your life?
When I was a young kid watching my mom do makeup, I used to be amazed how instantly beautiful she looked. And it would take my mom a long time to put her makeup on, and when she was done, she wasn't overly made up. But as a little kid, I used to watch her, and she just transformed into this incredibly beautiful creature. And it was the 70s, so it was a little bit about looking like Cher. You know, it was very sexy, very pretty.
Now, you started your career in 1980 when you moved to New York to become a makeup artist. Tell us about that journey.
When I moved to New York in the 80s, I didn't know anyone. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I went out and tried to get a waitressing job, which I was not successful doing. I tried that one day, so I said I better make it as a makeup artist. I didn't know what to do. I had no idea, didn't know anyone, so I opened up the yellow pages and I looked up makeup, I looked up modeling agencies, and I just started making phone calls and asking how I start working. I put a portfolio together, and it probably took me a few months to get my first job with a magazine.
Tell me about your company in the early days and to what it is now.
Well, when I started the company, I had just had my first child. I was living outside of the city in the suburbs, learning to be a mom and commuting. I was also still a working makeup artist doing shoots, and I had basically, it was myself and a partner. I was so naive when I started the company. I just never thought that what I was doing was wrong. It just made sense to me. And there were so many big companies out there that were my competition. I never thought of them as competition. I just basically had a tunnel vision, and I was running as fast as I could. I was adding products as I could, and I was running home at night to take care of my kids and see my husband, and in the morning I would go back to work and either do a shoot, you know, or be in my office. I never really looked at the competition because what I was creating was something that didn't exist. I really thought that my cosmetics were different than everything else out there. And now I know I was finding a niche.
And tell us about your big break.
Well, a lot of the things that I organically was doing really helped put me on the map. For example, I was a makeup artist when I started the company, and traditionally, most people in cosmetics were very smart people with MBAs. I didn't have an MBA, but I was a makeup artist. I worked with models, I worked with regular women, and I was really lucky to have relationships with editors. So they would write about my new company. They would write about how to put makeup on. So I became a teacher through the magazines. Now I know it's called PR. I also was lucky enough to go on television to explain how to put makeup on. And my products from the beginning have always been named the colors they are. So I would stand on national TV and tell women, in order to play up your eyes, you need a light, medium, and dark shade. Put a bone all over your eye, put a chocolate line your eye, and I would just explain it to women. They would run into the stores and buy the makeup. One particular television episode, I was on Oprah many times, and when Oprah Winfrey says, "I only wear Bobbi Brown foundation, number 6, 7, and 8, we were completely sold out of that foundation. So a lot of the marketing and advertising was done because I was already on TV and working in magazines. I think that really helped put us on the map.
You started your company with just $10,000. Did you ever think that Bobbi Brown would be as big as it is today?
If I would have had a crystal ball and known what would become of the Bobbi Brown brand, I probably wouldn't have done it. It would have been overwhelming for me. I never set out to be famous. I never set out to be, you know, a CEO, a CCO of a humongous global brand. For me, what I set out to do is make makeup that made women look beautiful, was easy to apply, and worked on every woman I met.
You said, when I was a teenager, I aspired to be tall, thin, and blonde, like popular models at the time. But those people didn't look like you. Do you have any role models?
My biggest role model, especially beauty role model, was the actress Ali MacGraw, who I saw in the movie Love Story, because I didn't look like any of the models at the time. And Ali MacGraw was brunette. She had very strong eyebrows, very natural makeup, and just, to me, was the most beautiful woman in the world. She was really my beauty role model.
And you do say that in the 80s, makeup was extreme. The pale white skin, the red lips. But you also say that you are somehow part of a revolution that looks at natural skin, more of the natural, healthy looking skin. What made you go against the grain?
For me, when I started really getting involved in makeup in the 80s, it was so artificial and it just never looked right. I wasn't talented enough as a makeup artist at the time to be able to paint a face and shade a face and contour a face, and it made no sense to me to change the color of someone's skin. I thought the models looked so beautiful when they came in with no makeup, and with using makeup that really just enhanced their looks, I found was so much prettier. It was not a trend at the time, it was the opposite, but I've just always followed my gut, and it just made sense.
And obviously, your involvement in this industry, one can imagine that you hope to revolutionize it, to get more people like you.
I hope so. I like being around nice people. I like people with good energy. And sometimes in the creative field, you do get some people that are pretty intense, have different personalities. I mean, I've worked with some of the top models, whether it's Naomi Campbell, I've worked with Jean-Paul Gaultier, I've worked with, you know, Azadina Laya, I've worked with so many people. So you see a lot of differences and a lot of brilliance. And it's been amazing for me to be around that. But honestly, what makes me the happiest is when I leave my job and I go home, I put my hair in a ponytail, put my sneakers on, and I'm able to be the real Bobbi, which is with my family and friends.